Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 159, where we are talking with the Rocky Mountain RMRRF Fest crew. And I could do intros, but I'm probably not going to be as good as they are. So, gentlemen, I'm going to need the Backstreet Boys from each of you. The who you are, the where you from, the what you did, and as long as you love me. Zach, go ahead and start us out.
Hey everybody, I'm Zach. I'm from Julesburg, Colorado, and I run a company called It Works 3D. I'm glad to be on the show.
Awesome. Mike?
Yeah, I'm Mike from Windsor, Colorado. My profession is a firefighter, but I'm an avid 3D printer hobbyist. Have been for a number of years, and love being able to bring our event to other hobbyists.
Well, thank you for protecting the local community. I'm sure my brother will like a firefighter on the show. Justin?
I'm Justin. I'm from Loveland, Colorado, born and raised in Colorado. Not so many of those left. And I've been printing since 2016. And doing that at Rocky Mountain was one of the most successful things I've ever done in my life. So it was
Bring that
extremely
mic a
heartwarming.
little bit closer to
Yep.
you, boy. Because
You're good.
otherwise,
Yep.
every
Real
time you
quiet.
get quiet, you trail off. But
Yep.
hey, that's
You're
the
good.
part of doing things live. We are live here on YouTube, hanging out. We got some awesome people here in the chat that are reminding you guys to leave a like and get subscribed if you haven't. If you do want to support the channel financially, links down below. You all know that deal. We got Mad Cat is here. Thomas, Duff, Fotis Mint is here. Justin is also in the chat. FJ Prince, my brother Tarsman013. So welcome everybody, and let's jump into talking about what makes an event special. Because Rocky Mountain RMRRF Fest, this was its first year. None of you guys have done an event like this before, is that correct?
Correct. No event experience at all.
So you guys went from just being, 3D printing business owner, firefighter, Justin 3D printing hobbyist, or more than?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hobbyist.
Yeah,
For
to event planners.
Yes.
Did you add professional event planner to your LinkedIn? Because I feel like this is a reasonable
Yes.
ask
Yes.
to add.
You have
Yes.
to do that.
Resume and LinkedIn. Yes.
I'm going to wait till after the second year is successful before I ask.
Hey, look, you only got to do it once for it to be called professional.
This is true.
Well, yes, true.
Oh, man, it was an awesome show. And, we were on the fence of whether or not we wanted to go. Because I think a lot of people saw this too. We were kind of nervous that it wasn't going to go well. And holy crap, did it ever outperform what we all had expected. So first off,
Yep.
great job.
It was
It was beautiful. The scenery was great. I'm from Florida. We don't have mountains. We have very small hills at best. So to be out
Speed
in the
bumps.
Rockies, it was awesome. And then the venue was great. The hotel was great. You guys really found something that worked out.
Yeah.
What was how did you all come to that specific location?
So that was actually thanks to my wife. I was in the hunt for venues, Boulder County Fairgrounds, Adams County, all these fairgrounds. A lot of them were ag only, stuff like that. And I was at the point, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to have a venue. And my wife's like, what about right by, where the area where you work? I'm like, yeah. I sent an email and they had a weekend in April and we started there. But we didn't have a venue at all. And message was reasonably priced, which is very important. And gorgeous modern venue, air conditioning for those of us who have been to other events.
We initially started out looking by the DIA area because
Yes.
we knew that was going to be the easiest for people to fly into. And if we could have it right there, that would be great. Unfortunately, when we started looking at availability and pricing, that pretty much changed the whole thing.
Yeah, DIA,
was-
for those that don't know, that's Denver International Airport.
Correct.
And so Loveland is it west?
North.
North.
About an hour
Yeah,
north.
it's about an hour. I don't remember what direction it was, but it's about an hour in a different direction. And it was a great drive. I mean, it was kind of boring,
Yep.
but not as fun as the drive to East Coast RMRRF, because that's all just back country roads for me. I don't like taking highways. I like going through service roads, especially when it's not Florida, because the roads are fun. There's twists and turns and hills and crap. But I will say it was certainly a really nice venue, and that venue was perfect.
Yeah.
But there's likely some really tough things involved in booking an event like this. Everything from not only paying the deposit, because once that's gone, you kind of have to hope people show up.
Yep.
There's a lot
That's
of
exactly
faith
right.
that you have to have that people like build the event and people will come. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that want to do an event, whether it's a RepRap Fest or a Printopia, I guess now, in their local area. Was that one of the biggest challenges for you guys, was just kind of ponying up the initial deposit to make this thing become a reality?
So
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, our
absolutely.
so
Sorry,
our initial
Jason.
our initial deposit, we had secured the venue verbally for a month, and then we released our sponsorships back in December. Once our sponsorships took off and we cleared that number to make sure the event happened, we paid our deposit, and that venue was ours at that point. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where we had to balance just right, where if we don't get enough sponsors, we don't have a venue, but we also haven't lost any money. So it was that perfect balance of getting the sponsors at the right time.
Yeah, there was a lot of risk initially, like
Yeah.
you said, Grant. And the three of us, when we got together, we had a pretty good idea of what we wanted to do and accomplish. But there was a lot of faith involved in is everything going to work out? Are the sponsors going to come through? And we kind of done. We're out.
Yep.
And we were fortunate enough that the venue would hold the site just long enough without a deposit before we had to make a decision. So it all happened in a short time period. And when that email initially came out and our first sponsors started saying, yeah, we want to be a part of it, that's when we knew it was going to happen.
It was a mad rush of responding to emails, but everything went well because we sold out our platinums in 24 hours or 48 hours.
Yeah.
Which
That's a
was
good problem to have.
insane. Yes. It blew our minds, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, right? Because part of how events happen is you get sponsors, you get people that can, afford to come out there and make it happen. And so would that be some good advice for someone that's looking to start, kind of maybe doing a RepRap Fest? Is that, hey, make sure you have money beforehand, make sure that kind of stuff is lined up? Or like, what is one of the biggest pieces of advice that you guys could give to someone who is looking to do this?
I would start with what your goal and your mission is, because if you don't have a clear focus on what you're trying to accomplish, you may get off track right up from the beginning. And all three of us agreed we had a singular purpose, and it was what I said was to bring another opportunity for hobbyists and enthusiasts to get together. And that was our goal. It wasn't about profit. It wasn't about being the best or anything like that. It was to truly create an opportunity for people. And we knew there wasn't anything west of Goshen that was riprap in nature. Yeah, there was other events, but not what we really wanted to bring to the community.
Not a specific purpose event.
Yeah. So I think that's the key thing. If they're going to do it, really have in mind what your goal and your purpose, what your accomplishment, and to have other hobbyists leave that event and say, thank you so much, we had a great time. That's when we knew we were successful with what we set out to do.
Yeah. My success point was Saturday about 10 a.m. after we opened the doors. I went outside to take care of something, and I turned around, and the parking lot was as packed as one of the hockey games that's held next door. And I almost lost it.
I mean, it's totally fair to feel some type of way about this, right? This is something that you guys have been, betting the farm on, for no uncertain terms for a while, and just kind of hoping that it worked out. And yeah, you could see ticket sales. You could see that financially the sponsors were going to take care of it. But if a bunch of sponsors come, they spend some money, and nobody shows up to the event, that's a bit of an issue. Now, obviously there's more than one of you guys, so there's the three of you. Did you find that the delegation of tasks and roles was an important thing that made this event possible?
Yeah, very, very much so. Making sure everyone has something specific they're supposed to do. I monitor emails all day. Mike handles some of the logistical back end stuff, and Zach's our business mind that can answer all the business questions that I don't know. I don't know if Mike knows, but he's the mind of making sure we can not completely spin off.
I understand.
And yeah.
So was that something that you felt was properly handled, or would you have liked to have another person, right? So I'm trying to dig into what is the ideal amount of organizers for an event, because people that do want to start events might say, I can do this all myself. They're going to quickly find out they can't. But, is 3 the ideal? Would a 4th have made life a lot easier? I know, Zach, Mike, Justin, you guys are always busy as well. You guys have a lot going on in your lives. Would more people be helpful, or does it start to get too many cooks in the kitchen very fast?
Yeah, I think both of those come into play. One of them is making decisions, and just having 3 of us, I think, made making decisions much easier. And 90% of the time we agreed, but every once in a while there was a disagreement. Well, majority rules.
Yep.
I remember one that Justin, I don't remember what the issue was, but Justin.
We've had.
I guess I'm voted out on this one. It's like, yes, you are.
Yep. And
so
and that's
having an odd number of people actually made that. So that's one thing I would recommend, is don't have an even number of people.
Yeah.
That is a piece of advice that someone that has been through this has learned. The business guy's like, don't have an even number of people, because you can get into quite literally a shouting match of one person wants it this way, the other one wants it this way, and you have an impasse. You cannot move forward legally, right? Because the business as a whole does not have a majority that says we're moving in one direction. And so,
Correct.
The odd number is really, really valuable for this kind of thing.
And if you don't have that, figure out what your tiebreaker solution is going to be, and do that up front. Do not wait until the problem arises.
Yep.
One thing, having that support network. So having more than 2, 3, 4 people is great, but have them in a support role, not in a decision-making role.
Yep. And I've gotten a lot of people after the event that have come up to me and said, "Can we help with the event? Can we help with the event?" We're keeping them as an advisory role because we want to continue to be our decision makers, but we also want, and Grant knows this from that one call, that having people that you can bounce ideas that are not us off of is usually beneficial, because you can be told that's a stupid idea, and it really helps coalesce the event properly.
Part of a community is relying on the community. I'm going to give away a bit of a secret because I know it. Early on, there was a whole brain trust of us assisting Justin in the preparations, what to do, how to organize things. And it was called the Friday Call, where we would spend at least 45 minutes every week going through different things and talking about it, because not only did Justin have a group of people that were there that are, I don't know if I would say influential, but certainly well known in the industry to some extent, at least in their own personal circles. They're well known in the industry, but there's also other organizers for other events that are in there. And that's a big deal too, is making sure you have that mentorship to make sure that, hey, you know how you want to do this? We tried this. It did not work for us. And here's why. And that is so valuable a lot of the time, because hearing the war story from someone that has been in the trenches, that understands what they're coming up against, is absolutely an important factor. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And the ERRF organizers were very helpful and had some very good warnings for us as well, and it was hugely beneficial to be able to take those and run with them and make sure that we don't run into those same potential problems, you know.
Yeah, and Grant, you talked about that Friday night group. That was incredible. There was a lot of times Justin came back and said, "Hey, here's what these guys are saying. Here's what they're recommending." Now, while that group was not making the decision, they were great to give us that knowledge and that advice. And we really did heed a lot of that advice. I think there was maybe a couple things we said, we're going to do it a little different. But to have that to work off of, I think was invaluable. So we talk about us being the decision makers and the organizers, but we can't do it without groups like that. So really important.
Yeah, those brain trusts are important. And we've talked on here before about, businesses needing certain things, where a business needs an accountant, they need a lawyer, and they also need a therapist. But it's often common that a business also needs somebody that they can talk to, whether it's a friend that can act like a devil's advocate, whether it is an actual business mentor, or it is a group of people that can tell you you're doing something stupid and they're going to do it in a way that doesn't immediately offend you, unless it is some offending that needs to occur. Sometimes being subtle isn't always the right option, especially when someone is going in the massively wrong direction. And I will say, from someone who, East Coast Rep Rap last year was my first event that I had ever been to that was strictly consumer grade 3D printing. So I've been to a lot of like Rapid, TCT, I've been to Formnext, I've been to a few different shows that are all on the additive manufacturing side, like the machines that cost homes and multiple homes in value. And so to go to an event in a new space that never been done before, you guys had a lot of cards that were not being dealt well in your hand, and somehow you bluffed your way to an amazing event because everybody else folded. You truly had an amazing event. What was one of the hard lessons that you learned? If you're willing to talk about it.
To pick one is tough.
Yeah,
that's fair. All right, give
There's
us
a lot of little ones.
We had a meeting right after the event. I mean, it didn't take long before we sat down and said, "Hey, while this is fresh, let's go ahead and let's talk about what needs to happen next year."
Yep, that post-mortem is very important.
I mean, one of the big things was space. We didn't expect and Michael will test this. I think our number is 1,300 people when we first started. If we get 1,300 people, this will be a success. So 6 weeks before the event, we ordered our lanyards, 1,300 lanyards. And then the numbers on our Eventbrite just kept going. And the week of the event, I mean, by Friday night, we had 3,000 people for the free tickets. And I'm like, well, I hope only a third of those show up because we're going to run out of lanyards. And Saturday comes and lanyards are gone in 3.5 hours.
The good thing about limited lanyards, it makes them collector's items.
It's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Not everybody got one.
Everyone who saw all the various streams, the Voron corner was very...
Dude, they showed
heavily
up.
packed.
They showed
they did.
up. So I'm building a Voron soon, and I am uniquely terrified about it. But that's mainly because I have to do. No, see, if I'm doing it, in private, I'm not terrified at all. I can do this.
Right.
I'm doing it all live, which means every nuanced problem that I have, there's a group of people in the chat that will not only timestamp it to make fun of me later, but I'm under that microscope the whole time. Which is fine. It's kind of what I've signed up for, but seeing some of those machines there, it was like, geez.
Yeah,
and I remember seeing you, Justin, on Saturday, and you had two very distinct looks on your face, and they occurred simultaneously.
Oh yeah.
So from the nose down, you were smiling ear to ear. From the nose up, you were in pure crisis mode. Because you're like, we have double the amount of people that we were expecting. there's no way things go smoothly. And
Nope. I was freaking a little bit there.
And you guys had a team of volunteers. That's a great way for people to get involved without really having to handle a lot of the heavy lifting, right? It's the volunteers.
Yeah.
The little things, all the little small stuff that needs to get taken care of, that if we take care of it, we're never going to be able to do anything with the major parts of the event.
Yep.
Having someone to set, pull in the speakers to, make sure that Jim's doing his proper announcements at the right time in the middle of other people's videos,
Yeah. I know that we had discussed that. So we had discussed that knowing when the announcements were going to occur, or at least a rough time of when they would occur, would be so valuable to us, because when we're filming with people and, Jim comes over the loudspeaker, I have to cut. I have to stop. We have to wait. And I'm fairly certain that's the same for everybody. I honestly don't know. I know people are running better mics than I am, but
right.
So like,
that's a loudspeaker at that point. It's going to blow out your audio.
Yeah. And like, we can work with it, right? It kind of is what it is. But I'm like, if we had a schedule of when, the Overlord Jim is going to come on the loudspeakers, that would be very helpful so that we could, work around it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that was probably my biggest issue. And it's the same issue I have at every event. It's, I have to work in between Jim.
Yes.
And he did such a good job of communicating everything. And, I guess that shows because he's been the announcer at every event that I've been to.
Yeah. Yeah, except for the screeching yells at the most recent event, the microphone.
Well, hey, that's
issues.
Not Jim's fault. That's not Jim's
fault.
But
that was,
Yeah, watch, if you guys want to see how bad it was, take a look at our video with the Magneto X. The blooper. It's the last thing in the video. We'll show you how it scared the ever-loving crap out of us. We were over at the Lightburn booth filming with Joe Spanier, and we got lit up by the loudspeakers, and like 130 beats a minute, and I'm just an adrenaline kick. It was that was an interesting
painful time. I know your blooper from your 2 videos from ours had something that would, damn it, Jim.
It's something that you have to learn to deal with. And I think it was very helpful because it helped me know, all right, people are going to go out to the Death Racers. I'll go get a little bit of B-roll, then I'm going to run back in, get a couple of interviews done before everybody piles back in after Death Racers and all that. Is that going to be something that occurs again this year? You guys doing, although I don't think you called them Death Racers, you called them something else.
We're going to go back to Death Racers. So we went with Battle Racers, just like ERRF last year. They had the issues with the venue, with Death, because it's a college.
Yeah.
And so they had it DERF Racers. So we went Battle Racers, and we're going to go back to Death Racers. Now that we've done the insurance, we're in with the venue.
They know you're not that crazy yet.
Yes, exactly. So it was a first year, caution flag almost. And it threw Jim off every time he went to talk about it on videos, on social medias. It was hilarious. Even when he announced it at the event, he's like, "Oh wait, battle."
What other big things are coming this year?
Oh, I know we'll have the dragsters again. Yep. Mike, I know we're live, but you got my post about that one car coming, about making space for it.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant until we get all the details wrapped up.
I know, but we could hint at it, even though it's not even fully. If you're okay with it.
Yeah, I mean.
So
this is voting happening live, everybody. Just letting you know. So I am looking at them, seeing how the facial expressions are, and if anyone is a little bit nervous, I'm going to shut this down.
So
I just hate to overpromise.
No, we're not overpromising.
That's right.
Okay, so there is potential. That's the right word for a vehicle that is mostly 3D printed.
I know the vehicle.
inside
Okay.
the event.
Yep. I now know. I know exactly what you're talking about because I can put two and two together. Very cool.
And yeah, I've got a thumbs up through a contact, so we just have to send the email once we're ready and hope that it shows up.
I like having things like that. Like at ERRF, Ellie brought Mammoth out, you know, a real freaking battle bot. Is Jeff gonna be at RMRRF this year?
There was chatter with me and the group guys at ERRF about it. We are nowhere near any kind of anything with that.
Okay.
It would be really cool to have Jeff, but then again, I don't know. I don't know what our options fully are. There's a lot of logistical.
Oh yeah,
especially driving it
insurance.
across the country. Yes, they're going to have the insurance, but it's making sure our insurance
Correct.
will
Yeah.
approve it as well.
It's the thing that I see this often at events. It's the one thing that people don't consider. It is the insurance. It's all the extra BS that isn't just let's make sure people sign up, get tickets, and get butts indoor. It's, oh, we need how much insurance? That's gonna be how much? Oh, is there a way that we can add in a robotic tug of war? Is that a possibility for us? Oh, it's gonna add this much to the premium. Okay, I'm gonna have to make some phone calls. Yeah, the insurance is the big deal because you're putting a lot of people in an event space, and there becomes a lot of liability, and especially when you're dealing with machines that are hot, there are problems.
Yes.
CYA.
Yeah,
And print overnight. That's one thing that we have there, like Murph. We've got power 24/7 so that people can print and show off their stuff the next day. And
because nobody's actually ready for it. They're still printing the day of to get it all done.
Setup day. Oh yeah.
Oh, makers. We are all the same. We are all the same people.
Yep.
Yep. So if you had to give, and I'm going to ask each of you, I'll start with you, Zach. If you had to give one piece of advice to somebody who is looking to start their own event, or or at least look at what it would take, what is one piece of advice that you could give to them for that?
Well, lots of pre-planning.
Yeah.
Know your demographic and start to do your due diligence as early as you can. I think we were a little late when we got started, so
that's on me.
Well, no, it was a timing thing. Everything just kind of happened when it happened, and if the quicker you can plan, the better you're going to be off.
And I'm going to call Zach out for just a second because we're like, we don't know if Zach is actually going to show up. So like right before you showed up, I was getting the 3-person one set up because you're really busy right now. You've got a lot going on in your day job, and that means
I think you're confusing Zach with Mike.
Am I? Crap.
Yes. Sorry.
Zach's busy too.
Either way, we're all busy.
Yeah.
I think
we're all busy.
Okay. Well, okay. Mike was busy. Excuse me. Sorry. Apparently also remembering people's something that you have to do well, because that I generally don't do well. All right. Mike, what is a piece of advice that you have?
Yeah, I think plan early, like Zach said. I had mentioned earlier about kind of having a goal and a focus, and then to have that venue site and date. That was the biggest challenge, And Justin had said he was looking at sites, and it was so funny because he's looking throughout our state and not having much luck. And the last one, he goes, the last one we're going to look at is literally 15 minutes away from Justin's house and 15 minutes away from my house. I mean, it's in our backyard here.
Yeah.
And it's the last one he looked at. And we got really lucky. But
yeah, you guys drove home and slept in your
every
own
night.
beds.
You know how weird that was? I've been to Murph and ERRF. It's so weird to go home and sleep in my own bed.
Yes.
And that night, like, yeah, I know even a couple of organizers from ERRF don't do that because they're from out of state.
Yeah. Well, you find the space that works, and then you find ways to do. And I will say, from an event wise, having that hotel right there, and that hotel was objectively great. The breakfast was great. The rooms were clean. They were all like executive suite style rooms. So you had a front meeting area, then a door, then the bedroom. And it was very convenient to where we could have a meeting in the room without having to sit on a bed. And I know that sounds kind of dumb to a lot of people, but especially if you're traveling with other people or you're splitting rooms, having that privacy can be very, very important. And having a known meal that doesn't cost me any extra is incredibly valuable, because these trips are not cheap, especially if you're traveling in from out of state. That's flights, car, food, God knows what else that we're going to spend while we're there.
Spending at the event, you know.
Yeah. Justin, what's your piece of advice?
Mine is be careful. You know, mine is be careful with finding your venues and your sponsors. And biggest be careful I have is we have 2.5 RepRap Fests now with the name change. I've talked with a lot of sponsors and they're like, we're limited on how many of these types of events, RepRap Fest specifically, we can do.
Yep.
After our success, so many people came out to me on social media and said, well, I want to start one. What about in Texas? What about in California? It's like, so we're going to have 12 RepRap Fests?
Yep.
There goes RepRap Fests. And I love supporting the community with the idea. We have to be careful. Now, if it's local sponsors, sure, you're somewhere where there's 10 local sponsors, you can throw something together. Great. But if it's pulling 50 sponsors together, everyone's going to start fighting. And then our RepRap Fests that we so love and that are brain food and everything we enjoy,
you dilute
3
them.
times a year,
They get diluted.
Actually, I think they'd get destroyed if we aren't careful.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. And, so I think the 2 maker fairs in California, one after the other.
Yeah.
Those, I think that is going to be the really good one to see. Now, with those being so close, a lot of companies might just say, screw it, we're going to send a team out there for a week and a half. They're going to they're going to fly out that Friday. Yep. They go to the Saturday, Sunday for the first one. They're out there the entire next week, business meetings or whatever. Then they have the second event, then they fly home that Monday or Tuesday. So and they might choose that. But
we have that kind of issue with Rapid coming up. 2 days after Rocky Mountain this year.
Where's Rapid?
Literally Anaheim. So
I guess Grant needs to figure out a way to well, no, because we always take a vacation. We took a vacation last year in Colorado. It was awesome. Maybe I'll do that beforehand.
No, 2 days after. It's April 23rd to 25th, I think.
Okay.
So I've already had sponsors reach out. I'm like, it's the weekend we have at the venue. We get priority. We're not touching it, because if we do, we could potentially lose that week and end up somewhere where we don't want to be. And for 1 year, hopefully it'll be fine.
Thankfully, a lot of the people that show up to a RepRap Fest are also not doing big booths at a Rapid. I think Prusa, E3D might be.
E3D.
Yeah.
It'll be nice though. They can ship everything to Colorado, and then Monday comes, we can ship it all to California.
That's right.
And they can fly in to Colorado and then hop over to California. So it'll save some logistical expenses and second teams for those that are going to do it.
Right. Yeah, I agree here. There is a fun kind of level between that these work well and that they don't work well. When you get so many of them, you dilute the importance. And, I obviously have to ask, how do you feel about the name change of East Coast RepRap to 3D Printopia?
Because I'm going to let those two guys answer, because I've already talked to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if that's what works for their event and their location and their team, good for them. I don't think that's really going to have much impact on us. I mean, you build your following, you build your base, and you work off of that. We were really fortunate to have a great response that first year, and that's what we're going to work off of. You can change the name, but it's how do you run your event? And that's really the importance of it. And I think they have a good following that they'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think they're going.
I don't see a problem with it. Yeah. If it's going to help
I
not dilute things like we talked about before, they won't say, oh, there's another Rep Rap Festival, because that's exactly what each of them are called. It might help, bring that back to normal.
right. I understand why they did it. I'm perfectly fine with it. I've chatted with them at the after party thing, and it makes sense. But for us to name it something like 3D printing, finding a name out here for us would have been very hard. And then it would have been even harder to get people to show up, especially for a first year.
Yep. That's totally fair. That is
something
totally fair.
And I get that rep people don't know what it is, but on all our flyers, it does say 3D Printing Expo.
Yep. Yeah. That is always a challenge, because this was literally my topic last week, and it was pointed out that I am the old man yelling at the clouds, that I don't want the name Rep Rap to go anywhere, because I'm old school, and Rep Rap is the reason that we have what we have. It's why we have Prusa. It's why we technically have Bamboo. It's why we have Creality. It's why we have all of the companies that people love, they hate, they love to hate, whatever it might be. It is because of Rep Rap, and moving away from it just felt like we're forgetting our roots. But I recognize that it is, in their case, as far as I'm aware, purely a marketing thing, because like you said, what the hell is Rep Rap? And how do you explain it to somebody that has no idea? Yeah, it's basically the idea of a machine that can self-replicate. You mean like a human? No. It's a machine. It's a machine. Okay. But yeah, like we were out at dinner and we had this exact thing. We were talking about it. The waiter really liked, I was wearing one of my cat shirts and I had a cat lapel pin on, and they wanted it. So I gave them a pin, and they asked what we were in town for. They said, what's Rep Rap? I said, it's a 3D printing convention. That's the best way to describe it. And yeah, so I guess I can't hate the change either. No. So you guys are going to keep the Rep Rap name moving forward then?
I assume we haven't really talked about it much, but I think we'll keep it for quite a while, to run off the success of the name. First year and then change the name, like there goes all that, you
can't do that right now. No,
I don't know if we'll do it at all for our uses, but I felt bad when we named the event. It's RMRRF. Everyone calls it RMRRF or RMRRF.
Yeah, I call it RMRRF.
and I feel like we're stealing a bit, and some people, Nick from Polymaker calls it Rocky Murph. Rocky Murph, which isn't bad actually. But,
I guess not.
But remember, he's got a bit of a language barrier, so
Look, man, Nick has better English than some of the Americans. All right.
Right.
As a Florida man, his English is pretty decent.
Yeah. So we'll leave it for now. And I was trying to figure out what else to name it. Are we going to name it the Colorado Rep Rap Fest, the Mile High Rep Rap Fest, MRRF? Bless you.
MRRF isn't much better for a bless you, but yeah, that's fair. And of course, you guys decided to do it over the weekend of 420 this year, which means everything is more expensive. Thanks for that.
Yes, sorry. Luckily, there's hotel discounts. There's 3 of them on the website.
Nice.
Which some of the companies are not offering, discounts, as you well know, corporate blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm aware of the corporate blah, blah, blah. And that's life, unfortunately. It kind of is what it is at some point. Getting back to the advice, if you guys could change one thing about what happened last year, and I'm going to remove we should have ordered more lanyards, because that feels like the easy answer.
Yeah, it is.
I am looking for the tough answers. Like, what would have, if you could have done something different last year, what would it have been? And if you're making that change this year, how are you making that change? Mike, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, and they're kind of tied together. Obviously, more aisle space. We did bigger than what was the recommendation from the venue site, and it still wasn't enough. So we would have done the layout with a little bit bigger aisle space. And to tie into that, I mean, the way you do that is you reduce other areas, is maybe reduce some of the maker tables down. That was probably the biggest area of disappointment I think the three of us had, is we had a lot of people interested in the maker tables, and the tickets went, but the people didn't necessarily all show up. So we had some vacancies and some gaps.
We had
that
about
were
20%
disappointing.
no show.
Yeah, and I think the biggest disappointment in that is that other makers were not able to show up and use that space. So that is something that we are addressing. We are probably going to look at doing a small fee for the maker table. We hate doing that because it kind of goes against the principles of what we're trying to do, but we also need to make it successful. And if it's tying a little bit of a dollar sign to accountability, essentially.
Well, and then following up with that, we're hoping, we're talking to sponsors to bring in value for the maker. They spend the deposit, which is not going to be crazy. It's not going to be much. It's going to be 2 digits and then the lower digits. But then we bring in sponsors, maybe a filament company, to give out a couple rolls or a coupon for a couple rolls. So you go to the event and you get more value from what you've spent. That way there's even more incentive to show up and display your stuff.
Yeah.
I remember having this conversation because we had it on the Friday call, because of course we did.
Yep.
And we discussed what could be done. And I think the idea of, either a coupon system, or I think it was brought up like it's basically refunded when you show up and you are there. So it's like maybe $100 for the table, but if you actually show up, you get the money back. But I know logistically that gets complicated with credit card fees.
You're holding on to other people's money and Eventbrite fees and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, Eventbrite.
We already have to figure out how we're going to do that. So
yeah, and that's totally fair. I think it is fair to have a little bit of cost for the maker tables. I get it, because you don't want that empty space. I think the way that
the wait list,
the way that 3D Printopia did it, where they put the makers up on the second floor, that might work for them. I know that's not an option for you guys, but yeah, definitely that, because it was kind of a bummer. It's like there's a lot of empty tables, and that's not your fault. I saw that everyone had got the tables. Just the makers are unfortunately a little flaky from time to time.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll have a wait list as well. And the wait list will be an interesting one because we obviously can't have them pay a deposit, ahead of time. But it's, well, do they show up and PayPal us 20, whatever we do?
Well, it's about incentivizing.
Is it free at that point?
Yeah. And I get it. Life can get in the way for people, but the incentivizing to be there, to show off, to do something would be awesome. We
had a lot of makers that only stayed one day too, which I get.
Right.
That's a hard thing. There's some that had to leave it early on Sunday. That's the hard thing, is I don't want Sunday to also be, it is every event. It's the second day. It's always half the amount of people, half the energy, because everyone's tired from Saturday.
Well, and Saturday night. Don't forget Saturday,
yes.
Friday night, Saturday. Look,
Yes.
man, I was up late both those nights, but it was
2 in the
absolutely
morning.
Easily.
So worth it.
Yeah. That to me is where all the fun happens, and where we get to reconnect with people. It's fun filming, but reconnecting is what's important to me. Zach, for you, what was the thing that you would have done different, and how are you making it different this year?
I think talks of power distribution and having lanes in the maker area for where the power lines were. I heard quite a few people say they were just a little too close for them to be able to move around in their area. And then there were some sponsors that actually wanted a few more power outlets than what they had. So I think that's one thing we'll be looking into. We've already talked about probably one of the bigger ones to plan around, actually.
Yeah.
Power
have limited drops at the venue, and limited circuit breakers, limited wall plugs.
Right.
Voron unfortunately had the corner with the least amount of power plugs. And the most amount of printers.
Yeah. Well, hey, mistakes. The mistakes are not show breaking. It's a little frustrating, I'm sure, but it's not show breaking. Yeah, that's a big one, because you guys are you're not maintaining the same size this year, are you?
No, we are not. So we sat down Saturday night when we were supposed to have the after party, which kind of fizzled off because we're not supposed to have alcohol at the venue without the cash bar. That's being fixed. And we realized, so the venue has 2 halls. Share a screen here in just a second to show everybody. So that hall we were in was 18,000 square feet, give or take a foot or two. The nice thing about the venue is there's another 18,000 square feet to add on. And now I am sharing my screen for those that can see. So for those looking, there's the North Hall on the left side. It's a 150 by 120. Very nice venue, as everyone saw. And then everyone walked to the rest that was there. There's the bathroom. There's the big metal door. The metal door comes up. You rotate that room 90 degrees, and you've got another 18,000 square feet.
So which hall were we in last year?
We were in the North Hall on the left side.
So not
so.
Oh, okay. So it's the same size. It's just 90 degrees out of phase. Okay.
90-degree rotation with some really cool.
So you're going from 18,000 square feet to 36,000 square feet.
Yes.
Correct.
That is monumentally large.
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to be ridiculous.
And you're only giving me 2 days to film.
Yep. Good
I
luck.
hate you guys.
You're gonna get your steps
okay,
in.
so
Show up Friday.
now everyone thinks, we're doubling the space and that we should double the sponsors. That we are not doubling sponsors, because one thing that I really did not enjoy was we had so many sponsors. A lot of sponsors had to have a 10 by 10 bay. And that's it. And they wanted 20 by 10 or whatever. So we're going to be able to offer more space for sponsors this year. So we're not doubling. There'll be somewhere in the realm of 1.5 times, but we don't have the number yet. And that way, more space. The Gold's Cookie Cad wanted 2 booths because they had all the filament. But giving that space so these sponsors can truly show off and not feel so packed in is crucial.
Yep. Yeah, it's completely crucial. You have something else to show too, I'm told.
Oh yeah. So one last thing on this. So I know the speaking stage, that little maker lounge, was tiny. It was in that tiny little corner. It was like 20 by 20.
It was pretty tiny. Yeah.
It was tiny. So we have talked about on this right side. I wish I could write on the screen, but you can see where my mouse is.
Yep.
I hope. So basically from this door up to the line and over, that whole corner is going to be we're going to do a full on speaking stage. So I never wanted to do a full stage, but after the success of the Maker Lounge, you go with the success.
Are we going to get the awkward recliner again?
We don't know.
It'll be a different awkward one.
Yeah, it'll be different. We sold it after the event. We didn't have anywhere to store it.
Yeah, because you guys bought it off of Facebook, right, for the event.
Yep.
You used it, and then you were able to actually sell it.
Yes. Yeah, resell after, because we're not going to store a couch in the storage unit for a year.
Yeah.
We're going to go buy another one.
Hey, it works.
A week before the event. Doesn't matter. The recliner, I have to admit, I sat down and Saturday. It was very comfortable.
It was very comfy to flop on it Sunday morning when I'm stealing the gigabit internet you guys had. Thanks for that, by the way, to upload content. And I'm like, why am I going to sit in these chairs? I'm going to the recliner.
Yeah. No, that was kind of fun. We saw a lot of people actually use the couch to go and just sit and chill. And it's like, cool. That's kind of the whole idea of it. And to give people an idea.
Intimate, right? Having that small space, it kind of worked. But I get for bigger talks, let's say you get, some big person that wants to do a talk. You were that area was full. Then it was nothing but standing room behind it. That was full. So I get it. But it was nice
Joel's
to be able
chat.
to sit down and listen, and it was cool.
Cool. So to give you an idea, I think that space, and we haven't drawn it out, but roughly about 3 times what we had last year. So So anyhow, it'll be nice. I think the couch will come back. We want to get that essence. Basically, it's a lounge. It's a hangout space. Maybe we'll even get a couple lamps in there or something. I don't know. We'll make it make it cozy, even though it'll be bigger.
I
Bigger and
like
taller,
the idea
yeah.
of cozy because it's what we try to do here, right? It's less of a interview and a talk, more it is let's just hang out, have a chat, and there's people that can actively respond and ask questions, and it is less it makes people less anxious, especially those that have issues with public speaking, because let's be real, right? The vast majority of the people in the 3D printing industry are very introverted, right?
Yeah.
They're very quiet. Some of us are outgoing and loud, but naturally, I'm a very introverted person. I've just kind of learned the other way. And, having it be a much more, like, I don't know if I could do a chair up on a stage for a talk. Because I'm used to basically rib cage up, and that's all people can see of me when I'm here. When I'm there, it's like, all right, have to make sure I'm not fidgeting too much. I have to, so having a couch, it's like, all right, it's relaxed. We're hanging out. I got a microphone, and we're just here. We're chatting. And I think that is really valuable and could push those that might not have done a talk otherwise to do that, because that's very important for makers to get the voice, not just the big sponsors, but the makers as well, to talk about some of the cool stuff they might be doing that we wouldn't hear about otherwise.
You mentioned the other thing, so I will get ready to share that. So at ERRF last year, I won a giveaway of a custom design by renowned artist 3D Print Bunny, our Australian badass of a designer. And I hadn't figured out what to use it for. So once we had our 2024 logo, I sent it to her, say, hey, let's do something different. Let's mess with it. So before I share it, our logo is staying the same. And the files for printing our logo are up on the website. This one will be up on the website hopefully this week, once I actually sit down and do it. So she put together a very gorgeous alternative.
Yeah, that's awesome. Honestly, I really like her logo.
Oh, I do too.
I really like her logo. I think she did a great job.
She did.
She did a great job on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And looks like the chat is enjoying it as well.
Right.
And this was done, I'm told, multicolor on a bamboo, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Zach also printed one, or two, or three. You
Yeah,
can
so
print
far
it layer by layer. It is set up that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is string art, so you got to make sure your bridging is on point.
Yeah, if your bridging is not anything other than perfect, you're going to have a bad time. For those that don't know, 3D Print Bunny is kind of known for the string art. She put out one of a cat on blinds that I need to print because it's just adorable. And this is just next level cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, because all of our machines are set up to print fast. They're not always designed to print with good bridging, because that's what support material is for.
Yes.
But I'll have to give it a shot for sure.
Yeah. I'll have it up on the site hopefully this week, and
Yeah,
we'd love to see both of them.
Well, and
like our logo, but
for those that are listening audio only, it is a rounded, so it's a rounded off square, so fillets on the edge of the square. We've got a blue and white Rocky Mountains, very Coors style, with a red sun in the background of it, with bridging lines coming off of that to the exterior edge. We have RMRRF on the top and 2024 underneath the mountains, and both of those are only held in with those bridging lines. So it is a really interesting piece. It's a great print to do, and it will be available soon TM, as most things are in this industry.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see that, because the branding is part of it, and something that I would love to get into a little bit, because branding is a difficult thing. Not many people understand how complicated branding actually can be. Branding is the core of what a show is. Sure, you can put the name Rep Fest on anything, but if you don't do a good job of branding it, the name carries no value, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, who was ultimately responsible for the logo?
So we reached out to a designer that has done many makers, Tripods Garage, Sam Prentice, a guy in the UK, and we worked with him on the logo because I'm very bad at artistic design. I think it's a very hard thing to grasp for a lot of people, and we wanted something that brought the logo together. As everyone's seen, of course, I have a 3D printed logo.
Oh, but that's last year's. That's old news.
Yes. Well, all it is a 4 here.
Does it look like I care? It's old news.
I know. Well, we are talking about last year, so
I mean that's fair. That's fair. But I'm gonna look. Let me have my fun, damn it.
All right. We wanted to bring in elements of 3D printing to it. A print bed, a spool, a hot end. And try. I wanted the hot end to be a little more detailed, but realizing that small stuff is hard to print without a 0.25 nozzle.
And there's not a lot of people that run 0.25 these days.
No, it came out really well.
Yeah.
We and then Mike actually printed these out.
Yeah, I have one of those.
And very limited amounts of these were printed.
Mike, I think you gave me one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And absolutely gorgeous for that.
Yeah. Kind of did them just as a token of appreciation for, our sponsors, the influencers and so forth that showed up that we know would not have been successful without you guys here and successful in the future. And we truly do appreciate it. While it was a piece of plastic I handed you, hopefully it was more than that. It was seen as, thank you so much for helping us be successful.
I mean, I still have it and I know where it is. So,
and
those that know me know that's a big deal.
Yeah, I have that issue
now,
too.
Did I remember to have it handy for the show? No, but I know exactly where it is. Look, I'm not perfect, okay? I do my best.
One of the other cool things that I came home with, for those that went over to the Voron booth, they had their big old V24 monster of a printer.
I want to make one.
And they had
so
this.
Bad. That's just a big cube? Yep, it is.
They had put it together specifically for the event.
It's a big damn cube.
And they even put Reverse 2023 into the print.
Nice.
This thing's probably about 10 pounds. You can tell there's various qualities.
Yeah.
And then they handed it to me, and I asked them to sign it because it's the first year.
Yeah, that was the first event where someone handed me a marker and asked me to sign something. It was, I'm like, I am nobody. Why do you, I am literally nobody. I am nobody important.
The hour and a half.
You were one of them.
Yep. Hour and a half running around getting people to sign this.
Yeah, it was cool. Like this year at ERRF, I actually carried a Sharpie in my pocket because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to make that mistake. We had a hard time finding Sharpies last year. I'm going to carry a Sharpie on me. But it was so cool to see so many people show up to this event. And now that you're doubling the space, are you expecting double the attendance?
Ooh, hopefully not.
Yeah. We do have a very large amount of open general admission on Eventbrite. We're like, well, if we get that many, we get that many. If we get that many, we've got a whole nother conversation.
We were actually on the verge of the venue itself stopping any more attendees from coming in.
They came to us and said,
yeah,
this is a lot of people.
Oh, like a fire hazard issue, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, every lane was so full.
Yeah, and I understood where they were coming from. While they didn't set up a number for us, they just looked at it and said, holy cow, this place is packed. We might have to stop people coming in until other people come out.
Yeah. So, but you know what? That's a good thing your first year, because it instantly solidifies you guys as not being, a triplet of scrubs that have no idea what they're doing, right?
Sure.
Regardless of what actually was the case, okay, right? Yeah, because anyone that has ever ran an event, like, I don't know. Go find your local wedding planners and just see how much hair they still have left.
Oh my God.
You know, very similar thing. It's like, it's a very stressful, it's way more stressful. And the stress does not die down until about a week after the event.
Yep.
Right?
2 weeks.
When you're able
2
to be
weeks for me.
okay, it's over. Oh crap, we have to prepare for next year.
Yep.
We have to do it again. And I'm almost more nervous for that because one time could be a fluke.
Well, and a lot of changes too.
Yep.
I mean, while it was great, it was big, it was well attended. We got a lot of great ideas for next year. We're not replicating what we did. We're changing enough that there's still some angst and nervousness. You know, can we pull it off a second? And with the attention, is that work? So, but we're excited. We're excited. We have some confidence that we're going to make this work again and have a good time.
I have confidence in you guys too. You know, the first year went well. Madcap pointed out, said Zach looks a little apprehensive when I said double the amount of people. The look on his face was like, dear God, please no, I can't do this. And yeah,
right, so,
it's stressful as hell.
Yeah.
So
Well,
for those
setup
that,
day was tough too, because we had
yeah,
Justin and I were running back and forth like crazy. I think the first day we probably almost had 30,000 steps from going back and forth and getting everybody set up. And now that we're going to double that space, I talked about needing one of those hoverboards.
You know, honestly, it's not a bad idea. And
I just don't want to run over people's feet with it.
I don't think they're powerful enough to do that. I think you'll just fall over.
Fall over.
But you know, hey, whatever. Just put big blinking lights on it. When in doubt, add blinking lights.
Get a siren. Woo.
You know, it was. We've been talking about it in our Patreon Discord a little bit, that you know, the hoverboards and all that make great camera dollies, because you just put a person on it with a camera and now all of a sudden they get perfect dolly shots. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
that's true, but you can't fly with that stuff because it's crazy dangerous and is known for catching fire. But I
Go
ahead.
Continuing the conversation about the space, a couple more photos I can show off really quick. So for those that weren't there, and of course this is a really hard thing to describe for those that are listening, this was the venue Saturday morning. I was the first one in the door and I took a picture just to get a memory of a fully set up venue for our first year, which was insane. You know, it's hard to explain.
Yep.
For those, but this was the line half an hour before we opened the door. It was nuts. It was what, 40 degrees, I think? 40,
There's
50
snow
degrees?
on the ground.
There's snow on
You
the
can
ground.
see the snow.
Morning.
And remember, I'm a Florida man. Now, I was
Yes.
technically I was born in Virginia, so I had seen falling snow before, but not, you know, before I was 2. We moved out of Virginia when I was 2. So yeah, that was like my first time being able to remember falling snow, and we were planning for this. We carried cameras, and so we recorded my first time seeing falling snow and my first snowball fight, which occurred within 20 minutes of each other.
Yes.
And,
Yes, I remember. That was fun.
Watch out for Cocoa Press. That's all I got to tell you, man. The Cocoa Press team, they can lob snowballs, man. But yeah, there were people piling in for hours. It was amazing.
One thing I think we'll do is maybe get some ropes to separate. Everyone came in through one door. There's 3 sets of doors there. Everyone just came through the one door. So we might split that up a little bit because there was a little mayhem at that point.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Our entry point was definitely one of the things that we're going to be working on, is entry point for sure.
This was 3
Little
p.m.
volume.
Saturday. Now, full disclosure, this was also at a Voron giveaway time, which makes for great marketing.
Yeah.
When everyone's piled over that it would have won. But it's just, it didn't zoom. There it is. It won't zoom. The amount of people is just.
There were a ton of people, and that kind of shows that the love of 3D printing is alive and well, and so much has changed since that time. I mean, you know, printers, we've gotten so many new printers, companies releasing amazing new machines that have brought only more people into this industry. So I am excited to see what comes of 2024. Is there is there any hopes that you guys have for this event over last year?
More people for me. I mean, I know we'll have a limit of people, but more people, more activities as things grow. There's some really cool things that sponsors are talking about doing. Of course, one thing I've learned is, I went to Murph and everyone's like, well, I'd like to do this. I'm like, perfect. I support this idea. You need to execute it. I'm not adding another tick to an additional, headache and all that of trying to manage something. So if they want to do it and we can allow it, they can do it themselves, kind of thing. That way we're not having to manage another tick in the box, Ajax makes a good point. Scheduled giveaways.
Yep.
That would be nice. We had a lot of schedule problems where there's dual schedules on the site. There won't be dual schedules on the site this year.
Well, and that's growing pains. That's literally just what growing pains look like. That's what they are. And looking back and said, we had a great event. Here's what we did right. Here's what we did wrong. Here are the things we refused to talk about on camera. And let's see how we can take the wrongs and make them right. The things that are really bad and make them slightly better. Something that a lot of people don't understand. And it is what I think makes me apprehensive about brand new shows, is that they want it to be perfect. And if that is your goal, do not try, because statistically it's not going to be perfect. You are going to set yourself up for failure. I think you guys from the beginning set realistic expectations for what you had for the event, what you were expecting from people, and as far as I can tell, you met or exceeded every one of your expectations for the event. And that, to me, is what's important. Setting those realistic goals, ones that are attainable by you, by your team, and by everybody around you, including the volunteers, the sponsors, the makers. That is so incredibly important. And I think sharing some of those is important as well. That way, everybody can be aligned with the same vision. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
Zach, I'm going to ask a business question. We'll see if I can get an answer for it.
Okay.
But are there any concerns with how large the space is that you guys are going to need way more staff this year?
Yeah, that's one thing I was just going to make comment on is volunteers alone, because the amount, I think we had
12.
We had 7. We had 7 normal, and we had 5 extra volunteers, right? And
we had 9 or
almost
10
did not
total.
cover it for 18,000 square feet. So that's definitely one thing we're looking into is to have a lot more volunteers helping out, all the way from Friday up until the end of day Sunday.
Probably closer to 30, it sounds like.
That would be nice.
That'd be really hard to get 30. I think
it would too.
I think we'll get 15 to 20.
Yeah.
But
I think if you put it out there that you guys are looking for volunteers, because the thing that I see is you have 2 discrete rooms. Sure, there's a thing that connects them, but there are 2 discrete rooms.
Yes.
And that means you effectively need a room A and room B team that handle those rooms. There's a couple of people that can communicate back and forth via walkies or whatever it is.
All of us.
Well,
all of us are going to have walkies this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Having everyone on walkies can be more of a problem than you think. So
yes.
Cautionary tale there, because you don't want the radios to be taken up by banter when you need good back and forth, but that's what different channels are for. Yeah, I am very interested. If there's anything that we can do to help you guys spread the word for the volunteers when that stuff opens, let me know. We'll toss it into a video, because ultimately the 3 of you are ensuring that this event occurs. The fact that the event succeeds at some point is kind of out of your hands. It's in the hands of everybody else to make sure that there's 3 of you. There's only so much that you can physically do, and having those volunteers is important. And I know last year it was a massive help. So any of you that are going to the Rocky Mountain Rap Fest in 2024 and would like to volunteer, I am sure They would be more than happy to discuss it with you.
Yeah, we'll have stuff out on socials once we're ready for that. We already have a list going for people that have offered from last year and people who couldn't make it that can. So trying to grow that almost quietly, surprisingly, but if we don't get enough, we want to make sure people get breaks, can go take a break and not be at a table for 8 hours a day.
Yep.
Which is exhausting.
Yep, it is. I know it at ERRF, we talked to the Diamondback guys and they brought 4 people this year instead of the normal 2. And they said they are never going to an event with less than 3 people again, because the amount of crap that it takes to do an event with just 2 people, that's just one small booth. They never had time to take bathroom breaks because having one person at a table doesn't work. You need more than one. Otherwise, you lose people that walk by because you're in a conversation. So having somebody else is really important. And I know there were a couple of times where I just jumped in and said, "You need a bathroom break, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "All right, I got this." And I just started talking.
And we may have a few volunteers that may be able to be pulled in by a sponsor and say, "Hey, I need to go use the restroom. I need to take 15 minutes. Can you just sit at my table and monitor for, make sure no one steals anything," kind of thing. So we may do that. We don't know that. We got time on that.
Well, guys, I am incredibly excited to see what year 2 brings for the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. Year 1 was amazing. It exceeded every expectation that I had set. And
all of ours too.
It just showed that your amount of planning was minimally plenty adequate, but likely way more than you needed. And that is awesome. That is awesome to hear. Zach's like, it was not even close to being enough, but thank you.
Yeah. No, one thing that I did.
The look at Zach, you don't have a good poker face. I'm sorry.
Like a month before the event, I came to the guys. I'm like, all right, what are we missing? What are we missing here? What's going to kick us in the butt? And we had to make sure that there was not something event threatening that was not.
Well,
Ajax mentioned something
until they happen. It's that's hindsight.
It is part of good event planning is planning for the worst but hoping for the best, making sure that you have pretty much a contingency for anything occurring. That includes people going to the wrong place. How the heck do you deal with that? How the heck do you deal with people that get upset with each other? There are so many things that you might not think about now, but you have to think about when it comes time. Ajax brought up something. He said an Insta360 in the center of each room would be cool for 360 video. I am trying to work with Insta360 on this because I want to put a pole on a backpack and put a camera on it. And so as we walk around the event, we will do full 360 video just walking. Like, this year at ERRF, we did 4K for everything. This was one of the main shooters that we used. And we did beautiful, like, walking gimbal shots. But having a 360 is really cool because then people can look wherever they want, whenever they want, at whatever they want. And I think that is super cool. So I am trying. They are incredibly expensive. So yeah, Fotis says, but I didn't scan him. I didn't scan anybody this year, Fotis. We were not carrying a scanner at the East Coast Rep Festival. So the only reason I had one last year, like in 2022, is because we were scanning the Philadelphia Flyers the 2 days prior to ERRF. And I'm not going to leave my expensive briefcase in a hotel room that doesn't have the best security. I'll carry it with me. But maybe we can scan the Avalanche or somebody this year.
That would be freaking cool.
I know the Better Three Quarters would love to go do that. So would her sister.
I might know someone to help get in contact with them.
I am always happy to talk because it is fun to be able to carry those scanners, and we did buy another
and it's
one,
stressful.
So I have 2 of them now.
Nice.
So maybe we can. We're going to be renting them out. That's actually something that we're working on, is allowing. So for those who don't know, this is an Artec Eva. It's a $20,000 high-end 3D scanner. We have 2 of them now.
It's a car in his hand right there.
Yeah, it is. And it looks nothing like a car. It's very upsetting how how rough this looks for how expensive it is. But we are going to be looking at renting these out to people who want to use them, but don't want to pay to have a staff member go with it. Right? So we're going to do it literally like you're renting a car. It's going to flow just like you're renting a car. There's going to be deposits. There's going to be insurance. There's going to be all these different things. So yeah, that is the plan with this. It's why I bought it. I bought it specifically to allow people to rent it because I can put it in a box and ship it.
Yeah,
no problem.
Put it in a Pelican case and ship it along. Yeah.
Yep. And so that would allow us to do things like bring it out to events and scan people because, yeah, it becomes a lot more affordable if I don't have to staff the machine as well. But I am excited. What's up?
Wi-Fi was one big issue at the event. We made the mistake of having a general attendance Wi-Fi open network, and that destroyed the Wi-Fi completely for everybody. I think Sunday was the good day for Wi-Fi. Saturday was just, no.
Yeah, Wi-Fi is always a tough one.
We have a solution.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm assuming it's multiple discrete networks. That's what we would do.
It is, but it's also working with someone who does event networking, like actual APs and setting up enough points where when you have 5,000 people on there, it's not going to completely shit the bed.
Well, that's why I came in early on Sunday. I'm like, I'm gonna come in like Justin. When are the doors open? I want to come in like 20 minutes before before the doors open to everybody else, so I could just start my upload to my server. Yeah. So just so you guys can get an idea, this year we filmed 566 gigabytes in 4.5 days.
Oh my god!
Yeah, because we did some filming at Printed Solid where we made a custom. Well, it's technically not a custom color, but we made a Jesse Elixir color. That'll be a video coming soon. But I'm expecting to film, because if I can get everything right, we're going to upgrade every camera to 4K. The B-roll camera was still only 1080. But we're looking to upgrade everything to 4K because we want to bring the show to those that can't go. And that is something I kind of pride myself in. We make sure that we take enough footage that it feels like you're there. It's not just, oh, hey, look at this person. This is what they're doing. End video. Thanks for coming. See you later. It is more of an adventure. And certainly there was a lot of adventuring last year, and I'm excited for more coming this year as well.
This is some of that shelf that Printed Solid has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I grabbed some of the, I think some of the elixirs. I got this. Gold and
you don't have this one.
I know.
I have every spool of it.
I know you did.
And I'm gonna give them. If
I didn't have to get to the airport, I would have probably stayed there. But I mean, this stuff it's test spool. It's not perfect, but damn if it ain't gorgeous.
Yep. And so Ajax is asking about connecting printers to networks. I would not recommend connecting printers to networks at events, period. So rely on SneakerNet for that. Bring SD cards. And the reason is, especially for you Bamboo users, your printer's communication is nowhere near as secure as you think it is. And if it hasn't been patched by then, I'm going to show it. And I'm going to show how insecure it is.
Even at Murph, I brought my own travel router and hooked up all my
travel routers
printers.
Are great. They're less than $100, and you can set up your own discrete network. It is very nice to have if you need printers to connect to the internet, but reasonably put it on an SD card. It's way more reliable anyways. Just do it that way. Don't rely on event internet for anything other than basic internet needs. Don't rely on that at all. Well, guys, is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything anything cool that you can share with us for 2024?
We haven't even gotten our sponsorships yet. We're getting close, but
when is all that going to be opening up, you think?
So we're sending out an informational email to those we have on the list. I think in the next week or so, I've got to chat with the guys about a few things in that. And then at a determinate point within 3 to 4 weeks after the email at the most, that we determine because we try to be amicable and fair. We don't want to say, well, it's open, but you know, at a certain time, because then someone's sitting at their computer, we want to make it kind of as fair as possible for everyone.
Right.
So then at some point when we're ready, we'll shoot out the email. It will not be on a weekend. We're not going to do that. I mean, midnight on a weekend. Oh boy, you know. And we're hoping the prices, of course, went up for those that are sponsors from last year, but we have to, even with double the space, we got to go up to be able to do some of the wicked cool things and get more people, you know. It's going to be really cool what the South Hall brings. So the North Hall is going to be relatively the same with some changes. Bigger aisles. I'm excited for bigger aisles.
Right.
That's, I mean, even that center aisle.
Thank you for that, by the way, because moving in and around the events, especially when, like, if we're trying to film, right, we have a camera on a monopod, and nobody can walk in front of us, right? So
I remember your Amber blocking, telling people to stay out of the way.
Yeah, well, you know, now that we're running bigger cameras than we were last year, it's a little more obvious, and I think I have such a nice carbon fiber monopod, but I think I'm gonna paint it so it's very obvious that we're doing something.
Color.
Or we might put some sort of LED or something on the camera to make it
big
obvious
red
that
LED.
something is. You can't have it flashing because it's going to mess with the
just
video.
one big lit up red LED or
something. I don't know what. But I am very excited because I thought it was a big event last year.
Yeah.
When you double the space, it's more room for activities.
Yes. And we talked about doubling the space, going for the full venue the first year. Me and the guys were like, "What?"
You made the right move by not doing that year one.
Yeah,
you made the right move by not doubling for year one.
And we know that now. We have to double it. I don't think we have a choice. Safety, more sponsors are interested. You know, the list just keeps growing of potential sponsors.
What'd you say our list was up to, Justin?
I think we're around 100 potential sponsors, and we're not going to have 100 spots.
That's
which
gonna be
is
fun.
Insane. And it sucks because some people aren't going to be able to sponsor. You know,
it is a good problem to have more sponsors than sponsor spots available. So that is never something that I would look at and say, oh, boo, that's bad. No, that's awesome. That means your event has potential. It means that it exists, that it is there. You guys can afford to do it. And you know that at the end of the day, you're covered. And, you know, from a business perspective, that's kind of all that matters. Right?
Now, one thing that a lot of people, you know, there was a lot of communication in the social medias about, well, these guys are charging this to make money. We are not taking a personal financial profit from anything with running the event.
Hey, if you do, I don't care. It's a business.
But here's the reason why. For us, our passion is this event. If we start making money, it becomes a job. Even if it's one time a year, it becomes a job for us. Sure, I'd love to make money, but my day life, I don't need the additional. It's great to have it.
It's certainly not our goal or focus.
No, that's not. We agreed early on. We're not in this to make money.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt because you obviously have to so. For those that don't know, it is very complicated to put an event together like this, like incredibly complicated. It is way more work than you think. And if you think it's easy, just try. Just try to do it, and you'll realize that it is thousands of hours more than you think is actually required to do it. And if you're doing it all for the sole purpose of being passionate and not just because you're trying to do money, like, I get if you want to pay yourselves a little bit. I'm not going to complain about that. That's life. You gotta make up for your time. But if you guys are doing it because you're passionate, you're willing to accept less to make sure that the event has enough money to survive as well. And that's important.
Exactly.
Now, if the event keeps growing and turns into something that, you know, we need the Gaylord Hotel near DIA and 500,000 square feet, that's a full-time job.
Well, that's a full-time job for a big team of people. And as Filament Frenzy says, it only makes money if you tell people it does.
Right.
You know, he ain't wrong. Part of these events is understanding that there are unforeseen expenses. You know, and when you make more money at an event, it gives you the opportunity to look at bringing people out, whether that is content creators, whether that's, you know, helping fly volunteers out, whether, you know, assisting financially to those that might not be able to otherwise. It gives you that leeway, flexibility, and opportunity, which is incredibly important when, yeah, not a lot of makers can afford to travel from all over the world, right? To be able to do something like this. So it is nice to have a little bit extra in the bank to know that, you know, if we need to help somebody out or we want to extend invitations to people financially,
Now that's the
we can do
company
that.
side. We, you know, the company will have money in the bank. You know, that's where we use the company for.
Yep, and that is totally fair. And anyone that kind of looks down on those that are knowing that they're turning a profit on something like this, they've never ran an event like this on their own, and they don't realize, like, there's a reason event planners are as expensive as they are. There's a reason that wedding planners are as expensive as they are. You guys are putting together one of the largest weddings every single year, and it's just geeks getting together doing geek stuff. So
It's so worth every second.
yeah. Well, guys, I am so excited for it. I have not yet booked my hotel or flights, but we will be doing that relatively. I hope the main hotel isn't sold out. I don't know.
Get on the site and use the discount code. And
Yeah.
hopefully it isn't. It may be. Everyone's been. Oh, freaking Ajax! I mean, you're only what? He lives closer to Mike than he does to me. Should pay for his gas.
No. Jeez, Ajax,
Here's $5.
But no, I am excited to see what comes of it. We'll see, because you guys did an amazing job last year. I'm expecting amazing things this year as well, and just overall a fun event where I get to reconnect with some awesome people, and we're gonna have some cool merch there as well.
Ooh, I want some. I want some merch. I'll pay for my merch all day. Give me any free shirts. I'll pay for them.
Well, guys, thank you all so much for coming out. Do not forget to take a look at the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest. I should have put the links in the description, but, you know, obviously
I'll put it in chat without a link.
I gotta search it.
There. Just do rmrrf.com.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. Give me a second. There's
Go,
that.
Grant, go.
There. It's in the chat.
There it is.
It's now in the description, because I am obviously a first timer at this and have never done this before. I totally forget to do some things sometimes. It is what it is. But guys, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again this year. We'll have to interview you, and we'll see how tired you are on day 2.
Did 80,000 steps. Yeah, get us on day 1 if it's not that busy.
I think we should get a day 1 and a day 2, and we just get a screenshot from both and compare them.
Be like,
Before and after.
What I do 80,000 steps over 3 days with double the space. I should probably do. I don't think double that. But I was also a little stressed running around.
I think that you've made you learned a lot of lessons last year that will translate into considerably better experiences this year, and you will make mistakes this year that will translate into better experiences next year. And as long as you learn from those mistakes and you continue to strive for excellence, you guys will make amazing events. I want to thank Zach, Mike, and Justin for spending about an hour and a half with me here hanging out live, where we talk all about what it takes to make a successful Rep Fest for the first time. Everybody out there, stay safe. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Episode 159. Take care.